editing video is like an old school, oh snap.
Look where we from.
Never know what you're gonna see in LA. They really make movies here.
Shit. No, when you see this shit come out, it's motherfucking movie time. We shooting shit the fuck up, nigga. That's how we work.
Today, nerds rule the world, and believe it or not, I'm standing next to a big nerd in a hitman's body. This is rendered useful from VFX Machine, and he's a video director out here in LA, San Bernardino area. Just bumped into him at the Revolt TV Summit, and he's done some work with me for a guy we jointly know and are friends with, and an artist we both support. Okay, tell us about VFX Machine Films.
Alright, so VFX Machine Films, LLC, that's my company. Literally, I started in a bedroom by myself on a computer that I built. I built several computers. That was another one of my talents that growing up I learned. So, like, you know, building PCs from the ground up, the graphics cards, the motherboards. Man, my first PC I built at age 10, yeah. So it was a Dell. I had some like shit going on.
Was it to play video games, or was it to edit video?
It was to play video games. I started off with the gaming thing, man. That was like my whole thing, like. You know, like
when did the movie bug hit you? And was it always to be a director editor? Did you
let me throw some things into perspective. VFX Machine, the way that name came about, I had a class with a professor in college who told me I would never be able to make any sort of company or any sort of noise with that name. It's stupid. It wasn't something that was like within the standard confines of what's accepted in the industry and all this shit. But voila, I'm here now, and you, where the fuck you at? I'm actually originally from Inglewood. I started out over there.
What age?
Matt, birth.
I mean,
I was born in Cedar-Sinai, Culver City, landed over here in Inglewood. It ended up from there to Walnut, in City of Industry.
What age did you leave Inglewood?
Ooh, I was still a child. Okay. I was a baby. So, you know, all that whole hood banging, all that shit, that don't count. But I've been around. I know a whole lot of, you know, to get down with all that. But this is not about that. This is about people who go get their education and go to school and finish and become their own entrepreneur. You feel me? That's what this is about. So, you can come from the absolute bottom and make it to wherever it is I am now, wherever I'm going. Believe in yourself.
Okay, so what was your first, like, when did you first make some money was it as a cameraman? Was it as an editor?
I was a graphic designer. I started off as a freelance graphic designer, printing out like business cards and flyers for different groups and stuff. If you guys have ever heard of Juneteenth before, do your research. It's very historical. It has everything to do with African Americans.
So tell them.
All right. So Juneteenth basically is the celebration of the Emancipation Proclamation, but the actual implementation of the Emancipation Proclamation, because back then, was it 1886 or around that time? So word spread by horse and carriage and by train, and the way there was no TV or no radio, that kind of thing. So the way people actually found out about laws being in place was, you know, through word of mouth, essentially.
Since this isn't an important and interesting historical thing, let Al Prophet come in and give you the textbook of Juneteenth. So, during the waning days of the Civil War, the Emancipation Proclamation was proclaimed, freeing the slaves. In Texas and Louisiana, because they were so cut off from the rest of the country, the slave owners who knew that this had happened kept their slaves in bondage. I mean, it was always illegal morally, but it was technically legal before that legally. They kept them in bondage even longer, and the slaves in those areas didn't find out to June 17th, I think. So that's celebrating the Emancipation Proclamation, but specifically in certain parts of Texas and Louisiana. And I don't know if this means anything for LA history itself, but most of LA's black residents come from Texas and Louisiana. Absolutely. So there's a special Juneteenth kind of connection for LA that maybe there isn't so much in other places.
Me and my mother, we have been working as a non-profit organization to Juneteenth of America for the last 28 years. And make a long story short, we've had a charity for forever, and we've got the holiday bill passed, and now it's an official thing on the calendar because of the work of my family. And I continue that legacy by my own movie production company. And I'm a firm believer that anything that you do on camera is history.
So you feel a connection in time.
It's in my blood, bro. I literally watched her do the work. I was alive for this. Her name is in the history books. That's a solidified fact. Nobody can take that away from her. Nobody. It's like it's
for a positive.
For a positive thing. It's for everybody. That's when that's the true independence of America came about for every single individual.
A person can draw a lot of psychological sustenance from that. For someone that's not from LA, like, you fit the demographic, right, visually of a gang member, black male, you're a big guy. You're not even from those areas, and you certainly aren't willingly participating in that, but you must be forced to deal with it in some capacity, be cognizant, especially doing music videos. Like, if you had...
Well, see, the thing is I'm literally tied into it, man. I'm related to it. I choose not to make that about what comes out of my mouth, about what I bring forth to the world, because I can offer so much more, and I've been told through those OGs, through my OGs, that like it just wasn't for me to do that kind of thing. You know, when there's always that one smart kid in the hood that they try to keep away from all of that shit, that was me. And so but here's the thing about that, that's not always a good thing. There's like a huge burden that was on my back trying to actually figure out what I was gonna do in life. Because I wanted to do something that was all-encompassing, but at the same time I had to learn how to get over some selfishness. But that's later for the autobiography. We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
What's the daily or weekly logistics of being an independent? You know, do you get hired just to do camera sometimes and do just to edit? Are you a one-stop shop?
I'm the one-stop shop, but I've been told by a multimillionaire earlier this week that that's not the way to purport myself to people of that ilk. So,
take that with a grain of salt, young man, but continue.
I know my powers, but I just can't let everybody know all my powers at once. It's just too much. People like to call this shit arrogance, but I mean,
so you're making a full-time living doing this?
Full-time, man.
What kind of clients and what kind of work do you do? What does it range? Is it mostly music stuff?
Man, I've done music, I've made apps, I've done...
Oh, you've made apps?
I've made apps. I worked on the Cheesecake Factory app.
Oh, wow.
We've got this new video out, Rocky Rambo. I need y'all to check that out with my boy Lucho the Champ. Like, the real champ of the streets, for real, for real. Like, check that out right now.
Lucho the motherfucking champ. Better know I'm putting on for Why City champ. Red Nationals, it ain't hard to see the champ. My squad get more bread than Vandicap. Music went viral, I'm special at a handy. Niggas fucking up the game, mumbling all in they raps. How your fam broke, everybody say they trap.
And what's the near future hold for Mr. Render, and where can we find your work and your social media?
I've got the best values on quality content and videos. Anybody that works with me knows my ethic, and you can look at YouTube, you can look at anything on Instagram and watch the actual content itself and check the quality. I will not fail you, I promise you.